You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 221 of Podketeers. This week we talk about the awesome new Miguel marionette in the Musical Celebration of Coco show at California Adventure. If you haven't seen the post on our Instagram account, make sure to check out the YouTube channel for the entire show. It is amazing. I just love what they did with it. I'm glad that they brought it over from Paris. Check it out, youtube.com/Podketeers. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications of new videos whenever they're posted. Also, while you're there, make sure to jump over to youtube.com/Disney4two and subscribe to that channel for more Disney Park video goodness. Speaking of YouTube, we also posted a second video this week where we unboxed the D23 Mickey Mouse 90th birthday party kit. Gavin and Melissa give us a breakdown of what goodies came in the box. Make sure that you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter for information on where we will be celebrating Mickey's birthday. And yes, there will be cake. It's going to be a fun time hanging out with members of the Podketeers fam, and we look forward to seeing you there. Did you know that the Haunted Mansion holiday has been around since 2001 at Disneyland? Since then, not a lot has changed, but in this episode, we take turns reimagining the attraction. It was super fun. If you guys have any ideas of how you would like to plus up the attraction or what you would like to change, join the conversation over on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. Shoot us a message. Tell us what you would like to change. We'd love to hear your ideas. Before we jump into the episode, I just want to remind you that this episode of Podketeers is made possible by the contributions of listeners just like you via Patreon. We call those listeners our Fairy Godparents, but they like to call themselves the FGP Squad. And for as little as $1 a month, you can become part of the FGP Squad too. But for a contribution of at least $5 monthly, you also get the exclusive Fairy Godparent button as a thank you for your support. More information about joining the FGP Squad can be found over at podketeers.com/FGP. And as always, a huge thank you goes out to the members of the FGP Squad. And that's it. It's time to get this episode started. So here we go. This is episode 221 of Podketeers. So when do you think you're going to get a chance to go back to the park, Mel, so you can see the third window?
Oh, gosh. You know what? Maybe this weekend.
Because when Gavin and I were walking out of DCA, we weren't necessarily questioning it, but we feel like there's a story being told from window to window. Kind of what we originally had talked about, where we didn't know if they were going to be connected or if they were going to be independent windows like the ones at the Emporium. Mm-hmm. But as far as we could tell, it really does look like there's a story being told from each window to the next.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that they've done it, because you can kind of make a story out of it, but I can also see that that might have been unintentional. It's just kind of weird. So I'm going to describe to you the third window, Melissa, just so you can kind of have a picture of it as we talk about it. So the first window, as we know, is Mickey. It looks like he's kind of just entered this haunted house. He's got a little flame in front of him to light his way. And you've got spooks coming in from either side, right, dodging in and out. And then, as you know, the third window on the right is Mickey sitting at the piano while two skeletons dance behind him.
Right.
Well, the window that sits right in between those two is the latest window that they've added for Halloween. And it's one of these dark spooks who looks almost like a Reaper character.
Ooh.
He's got Mickey by the scruff, and he's plopping him down on the piano bench. So it's almost like Mickey enters, and he gets scooped up by one of these spooks, and he gets stuck down on the piano and is like scared into playing, I guess.
That's
for
cool.
The skeletons as they dance. I don't know if that's what they're intending, but it does kind of read like 3 sequential moments. But they all look great. You know, they especially look great at night.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody out there gets the chance to go during Halloween, definitely check out those windows on Buena Vista Street. And if you can, check them out at night. And I got to tell you, I'm still over the moon with the ambiance that they created on Buena Vista Street for Halloween. I love the purple lights and the music and everything about it. And then, of course, when you get to the end and you see the Headless Horseman, it's
right?
It's amazing. And the bats flying out of Carthay Circle. Oh, my gosh. I love what they do for Halloween there. And you know what struck me? And this wasn't the case last year because it didn't really exist. But for the first time during Halloween at DCA, the Collector's Fortress doesn't really look out of place at night, because everything's lit in weird like purples and greens and blues, and there's like weird flashy lights everywhere. And so that tower looks normal now at night. It was just kind of cool.
It is. It's totally cool. And man, this weekend, I honestly just want to spend like one evening and sit in the middle of Buena Vista Street and just soak it all up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That and just hearing Oogie all around is amazing. So yeah, I'll definitely check it out. That
was a nice touch with Oogie, because it's almost like he's kind of haunting the place. Like he's creeping around and he's looking down on you from somewhere, and randomly he'll make some sort of, exclamation or proclamation, whatever he's doing up there. And it's so cool.
I think it's
really
awesome
dig it.
How you just explained that you just hear him all over. It's literally all over. He's not in one spot.
Right.
Which is awesome. So yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely go spend like 5-10 minutes and just listen. It's really, really cool.
Do you wish that we got to meet Oogie somewhere?
Yes.
I mean, that seems like a miss right there, right? You would think that, I mean, maybe during the Halloween parties he'll come out. I don't know.
That's different, though. Like, I was going to say that it really calls for a meet and greet at California Adventure.
Oh,
it feels like
I
it's just missing.
So.
They have the AP corner where you can take a photo with, like, the Oogie cutout. And if you guys are following us on Instagram, in the Instagram story, we posted the Oogie Boogie Halloween time button that you can get, or AP holders can get. And it looks like a very similar cutout. There's a big moon, there's a cutout of Oogie, and it looks cool, but I think a real meet and greet would be better.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think the heft of Oogie is something that they would really have to figure out, the same way that they've had to figure it out with Baymax.
Well, I mean, I think it wouldn't be... I think it's different with Baymax, but I think of a character like Sully, and he's a big, huge... I would put him on the same size range as Oogie Boogie. I don't know. I feel like they could do it if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
And surely they made costumes of him back in the day when the movie came out, right?
That seems like a thing. I don't want to confirm nor deny the existence of a child at this moment. But
that's true.
It does seem like something that was done. I mean, if somebody recalls it or has a picture that they've posted, tag us in it. We'd love to, see that.
All I'm saying is it's possible, because I've seen really good cosplays of Oogie. It is so possible.
I have too.
Make it happen. Come on.
It'd be funny if they somehow implemented a little bit of what they're doing with Roz at Monsters, Inc. And so they use some of the cameras around the park, and so Oogie responds, right? Like, he sees you walking by, it's like, you, with the sequin mini ears, what are you doing in my park? And just really responds to, like, the people walking through or taking photos or...
Oh, like Mr. Potato Head.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Except that you don't see Oogie. That's the difference. That with Mr. Potato Head and with Roz, you're going right by, and all these voices that you're hearing of Oogie throughout the park, it's almost like his essence is around you, but he's not really there. It's like, you by the fountain in front of Carthay Circle. Yeah, you in the purple shirt. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. That would be so cool. Oh, hey, speaking of meet and greets, I caught a glimpse of the cutest little vampire that has ever been created in history at DCA when I was there this past weekend. I got to see Vampirina, and oh my gosh, she is adorable.
She is.
She is adorable.
I think she's the greatest. I haven't seen her show, but that is the cutest costume character I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I agree.
my mother-in-law is absolutely in love with Vampirina. The kids, when they go over, they watch all of these shows on Disney Junior and Disney Channel. And she happened to catch a glimpse of this show that my kids were watching, and now she just loves it. And when I guess she found out somehow that she was going to be in the parks, and she was making a big deal about meeting her and wanting a picture, and it's so cute.
That's a wonderful time for them to bring her out. Is she just going to be around seasonally?
That's a good question. I don't know yet because, I mean, if she's there for Halloween, it makes sense. But the show isn't a Halloween show.
Right.
So as far as I know, she took over Jake's place. So instead of having the Jake from the Neverland Pirates, that meet and greet, they've replaced it with V.
And those usually happen don't those usually happen on, what is it, Hollywood Boulevard?
Yeah, Hollywood, right in front of the Off the Page building.
Yeah,
right
and
in
the
front of
Disney
the Animation Academy.
Disney, what is it, Disney Junior Playhouse or whatever?
Now it's like the Play Dance Party or something like that. I forgot what it is.
Something like that.
Well, I wonder if they'll put her into that.
I'd watch.
Huh. I've never been in there. I don't know what goes on in there.
It's a fun show.
I'm sure.
We saw it with the kids several months ago. So the iteration that we saw, they have a huge disco ball. They play it like a huge dance party. And the idea behind the show is that Mickey is, the DJs, the people that are hosting, the event there, they've invited Mickey, Goofy, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, but they're all at Mickey's clubhouse, and they're trying to, Mickey and the Roadsters basically are trying to drive to this venue to party with everybody. So throughout the show, they have all of these things come up on screen where like Mickey's calling in saying, "Oh, we're almost there. We just ran into this," or "We're almost there." But in between, they have vignettes of Doc McStuffins and other characters from Disney Junior. And so they have these like magical words where they're on the screen and you see this animation of this twirly like pixie dust looking stuff, and then the character walks out of the side of the screen.
Nice.
So it's a way of bringing the character to life in front of the kids, and then they do a couple of dance routines. They sing their signature songs, and then they dance along with the kids. And eventually, spoiler alert, Mickey and Minnie make it to the dance party. They don't have everyone. They show like Goofy and Donald like on screen, but the only two that walk out are Mickey and Minnie.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah, so it was fun. I mean, for what it was a nice way to sit down for 25 minutes and just enjoy the air conditioning.
I bet.
So that was super great for me.
I like doing that with Turtle Talk.
Ah, yes.
That's fun.
Dude, noggin. Hey, it's not I know it's not a meet and greet, but correct me if I'm wrong. But since we're talking about, Halloween, and we were talking about Oogie a bit ago, didn't you say you have tickets to a super special event happening soon?
Oh my gosh, I super do. I can't wait.
Man, a little jelly. I'm just going to say it. Let's throw it out there.
I'm excited for you.
I'm happy for you.
Well, it's interesting. So to spill the beans here, I am going to the Nightmare Before Christmas concert show at the Hollywood Bowl next month, and I'm incredibly excited. And it's funny because we talked about it, after they did Little Mermaid and they did Beauty and the Beast. We all theorized that, of course, the next one would be Aladdin.
Right.
But no, I don't know that I even thought of Nightmare Before Christmas. I thought Aladdin would be the next big one, but this came up, and I feel like they've done a version of this before, right? Like this isn't the first time they've done it. Is that correct?
Similar, actually.
Or what they did was it was more of just a Danny Elfman show, right? Like a Tim Burton, Danny Elfman kind of thing. This is exclusively Nightmare Before Christmas. So it's more like those.
I think they did an exclusive Nightmare one already.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if last year was the first year, but I'm sure that I've seen posts and videos from not just like an Elfman thing, like just specifically Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay. Well, you know, it's the greatest. I love Nightmare Before Christmas so much. It's one of my favorite animated movies. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's one of my favorite musicals. It's dynamite. I love it so much, and I'm so thrilled that I get to go to this thing. And I've always wanted to see a show at the Hollywood Bowl. I've never been there before, and it's one of the most legendary venues in the country.
Yeah.
And you know, I get to go, and I'm so pumped.
That little clamshell venue is going to capture your heart as soon as you get there, man, because the acoustics
sure
are
is.
phenomenal at the Hollywood Bowl. It was
They better be, because we're far away from the stage.
Dude, it doesn't matter where you sit at the Hollywood Bowl. The acoustics are fantastic wherever you're sitting. The visual, obviously, you're a little far away from seeing what's on the stage, but they do have 2 giant monitors that you can view everything that's happening on stage. The cool thing is that you're going to be there as they're celebrating the 25th anniversary of Nightmare Before Christmas. And, of course, Danny Elfman will be reprising his role as Jack Skellington, and Catherine O'Hara is going to be there doing Sally, and Ken Page is going to be there doing Oogie.
Freaking Page!
That's awesome.
I'm saying, like, if ever.
I'm hoping, I don't know, I haven't seen, but I'm hoping Paul Rubens is going to be there, too. That would be amazing.
I haven't seen any announcements for him being there,
so
but
great.
if he was a surprise guest, that'd
Yeah.
be super cool. Stay till the end.
Yeah.
If there's
Yes.
anything that I've learned
Oh, that's true.
from
That's
stuff
true.
that's happened to
We
my
learned
brother at
that
the
from
Hollywood
Mario.
Bowl, yes,
Yep.
is stay till the end.
Well,
Wait till the
believe me,
end
we will.
credits finish
Yeah,
rolling.
will.
Never ever leave, because I remember the first year when they had this on Halloween. That's when Danny Elfman played Oingo Boingo's Dead Man's Party.
No way!
Yes,
That's
and he's
awesome.
only done it
Cool.
once. So yes, stay.
Oh, believe me, I will.
I'm
And
sure.
There's no
kinda-
chance.
I'm kind of hurting because I
leaving.
missed that day by one day.
Oh, man.
I'm sure, considering it's the
That stinks.
25th anniversary, there's going to be something. I wouldn't be
yeah.
surprised if instead of just getting Dead Man's Party out of Elfman, we get all of Oingo Boingo on stage
Oh,
performing.
my gosh.
Like some impromptu little concert. Oh, Gavin, I'm going instead of you. Give me your ticket.
Nah.
And it's going to be so surreal because you're watching this and you're seeing Danny Elfman be Jack, and you're like, oh my God, this is happening. This is
Yeah.
happening. Like, I couldn't record. Like, I couldn't. I was so compelled to watch. So I'm so excited for you.
Well, I hope to come back with some quality images and footage that we can share with the Podketeers family. So hopefully in October, look for some YouTube stuff and some IG stories stuff from the concert.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let me ask you a general concert question. See how each of you
Sure.
feel about this.
Okay.
You know, you listen to these songs on the radio, you get very used to how they sound, you know, the tone, the tempo. When you go hear them live, obviously the bands can't recreate it exactly the same way that it was recorded in studio. And especially if they're singing night after night, their voice may not be able to take a sequence of notes the way that it's structured in the song as you hear it on the radio. So if you see somebody live, there tends to be some variation, and there's a lot of, you know, creativity as to how they portray that song, and it's not always great, in my opinion. How do you guys feel about them changing the song? Yes, I know it's their song, but does the thrill of seeing them live supersede the fact that they're changing the song that you fell in love with?
I've actually had that happen, and it took me 13 years to see Franz Ferdinand. And the only thing I mean, of course, I wanted to hear all their music, but when they played Take Me Out, it was slightly slower than what I'm used to. So I was enjoying it, but I think it's because we were so close. I think we were like 4 people from like the rail. It kind of balanced that out, but yes, I do understand that. Everybody else, however, has been really good live wise. But yeah, that's my experience was them.
Interesting.
I kind of have a slightly different take in that I feel like that's kind of the magic of live performance, you know? It's never the same twice. It's always, you know, going to have a little different flavor, even if they're trying to, you know, match the record, so to speak.
That's true.
And also, you know, if they can, you know, hit those notes the same as they did in the record, or maybe even do a better flourish or something, you know, improvisationally that's even neater, like that to me is where the real talent is how well you can perform it live, not how well you can, you know, sing it with 50 takes in a studio and mash up, you know, the bars that made the most sense. You know, it's not like this podcast where Hazen spends 4 days editing out all of our mistakes. You know, it's like if it's live,
That's
you know,
not
you
true.
gotta be good, right?
I spend like 4 minutes editing out your mistakes, buddy.
Whatever. So I just feel like that's the beauty of live performance, and you know, it kind of gets me excited. Like I love finding live performances that have been recorded of my favorite artists and hearing those differences. You know, that kind of brings me a lot of joy. Like, ooh, he did that guitar lick a little different that time, and that was really neat. I like what he did.
Yeah.
Whether or not I like the original best, I still enjoy, you know, some sort of difference. So that's just kind of how I look at it.
Got it. The first couple of times that I saw, like, Smashing Pumpkins is one of my favorite bands of all time. And
wow.
The very first time that I saw Billy Corgan perform Tonight live, I had two reactions. One was, why are you killing the song? And the second was, please stop.
You should have just called him by his name, William.
Did you do a polka version?
No, I mean, he just changed. Okay, so I get what you're saying about, you know, the variation and having that little specialness to it, right, to that performance. Because there are specific performances that I've seen live that I watch on TV where there's a note that's hit a certain way, or they sing a line a certain way where you could tell, like, oh, that was in Glasgow, or, ooh, that was in Australia. Like, that's that live performance. You can distinguish between those. But for me, the exception is when they go from, like, whatever the studio version is to, like, acoustic, for instance. If you go acoustic, like, all bets are off. Like, I love acoustic versions of everything. But if you're trying to sing a song that somebody's familiar with, don't go and get super experimental with it, because people might not leave happy.
But I do have a comment about one group, Linkin Park. In 2003, I got to see them live, and oh my God, every scream, yell, sing, whatever you want to mesh it all together was perfect.
Yeah, but Chester Bennington was like that. He was the type of person that wanted to recreate it the way that it was. Part of the reason I'm bringing it up is because when you go see this concert, Gavin, I'm sure that Danny Elfman might change some of it, you know, as you're going through the film. So I don't know if you're necessarily there to see the sync up of what's happening, but like at D23, for instance, there was performances at D23 that I felt were classic performances that I wanted to hear a certain way live because, oh my God, it's live. But it changes significantly that it ruins that magic for me a little bit. Not completely, because I'm seeing it live, right? But not hearing what I wanted to hear kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah, I get that. I think I'm going to have to be prepared for that, though, in this particular instance, because it's not like these are, you know, Ken Page's songs and he's been performing them for 25 years in concert every night, you know?
Yeah.
And so when he gets up there and sings Oogie Boogie's song, I mean, who knows when the last time is he sang it, you know? And he's not going to be matching it to the original soundtrack recording.
True.
You know, it's going to be totally removed. So he's going to probably put a really different spin on it, not necessarily intentionally, but just because he's so far removed from that original performance.
Yeah.
And, you know, these guys are all that much older, too. And, you know, your voice isn't there forever.
Which is funny, because when Oogie's song had to be played, who else had to do it. It was Danny that did it. So it was
Right.
surreal, but it was really cool at the same time.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Well, maybe I'm just being too hard on the whole situation. And I know people that are listening right now, if you've had any type of musical training, I love to sing, I love to do karaoke, but that's pretty much where it stops. I'm horrible at it, and I acknowledge it, but I love to do it. And I'm sure people are listening to the podcast saying, like, well, why don't you go and do it? Why don't you try to hit the same note the same way every single time you do it? Well, I'm not a professional, so I don't have to.
Jeez.
So there. Either way, I think it's going to be a fun night. I'm looking forward to seeing the photos and the videos and stuff that you end up posting on the stories, Gavin. Hopefully one of these years we'll get a chance to go. If they ever do Aladdin, I do want to find a way to try to make it out to that.
Yes.
I think it would be magical. It would be a whole new world for me.
I agree. That would be incredible.
Oh, speaking of Incredibles, over at, oh man, where was this? Was it at South Coast Plaza that they did it?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, it was at South Coast Plaza, right?
Yeah.
A bunch of Disney volunteers got together to turn 8,900 cans of food into a huge Jack with cookies and blocks.
Kudos.
It's amazing. It looks so good.
It's really impressive. I'm still wondering how they got those cans in place like that.
Hot
That's
glue.
a lot of weight. Are they real cans like full of food? That's
are.
a lot of weight. It's a freestanding sculpture where you've got cans that are like his whole face is just hanging out in front of his body, and that's a lot of weight. I have no idea how they put that thing together.
I was watching a couple of the structure videos, and it looks like they had, in between the cans, they had like flat pieces. So they were layered on top of each other, and that's how they were able to keep everything together. Plus, they had rods that were going into the structure, holding everything in place so that it wouldn't slide back and forth. I love it, though. There's a video that was posted by Disney of it happening. I am going to post that in the blog post for the episode over at podketeers.com/221 if you guys want to take a look at that. There was another one, too. So it's a freestanding Buzz, and behind it, it just says like Pizza Planet or something in more cans.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm going to put that post over in the blog post as well if you guys want to check it out. But
That's so cool. So I have a question here because it looks like they painted the cans. Is that what they did? Did they paint them? Because when you look at these, it's, each can is color coded like a pixel almost.
Yeah.
In a, like an 8-bit illustration. And my question is, so when they go to donate them, do these people even know what they're getting?
no, I mean, as far as I could tell, when I was looking at a close-up picture of the cans, like they would use like blue tuna cans for anything that was blue. They would use red olive cans to do anything that was red. And so they looked for cans that were the color that they needed and just bought a whole bunch of that same thing.
That's smart.
What comes in a perfectly baby flesh tone colored can?
Baby
Baby
food.
food.
You guys did that in unison. You guys knew that was coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally cans
Is
of
it?
baby food.
But they look like they're blank. Like I didn't see any
Well,
like words
baby
or
food-
logos or.
So baby food's a little bit different. Baby food, before they used to come in jars. Well, I guess they do still come in jars. But when you buy them in these little pudding-like cups that they have, you generally tend to get them in packages of 4. So the outer wrapper, the cardboard, is what has the flavor. And then each individual, like little plastic pudding bucket, per se, has like type on it. It's super small and it's really vague. It'll just say like beef potato or something, or whatever nasty flavor you happen to have.
Tastes like raisins.
Well, I mean, that's what it might say, but it doesn't always taste like that. So yeah, it looks like it's a bunch of baby food and a bunch of other cans that fit the color scheme that they were trying to fit. And it doesn't look like they're completely stacked. just to keep the weight down specifically. It looks like it's the flat plane, and then it's just the outer edges that are lined with the cans. I could be wrong, but it looks cool,
it's
man.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
So what do you think Team Boat Willie can top it?
Oh, man, I would love to do something like this with Team Boat Willie.
We should come up with some ideas for that.
They had, I think there was several structures that were created because it's part of this thing with the OC Food Bank. And for every vote, I think they get like a $1 donation. So you can vote for your favorite of the sculptures that's being put together. Then at the end of it, the food is getting donated to the OC Food Bank. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, so all three of us, we come up with our own little can sculptures, and we have the fans vote on a winner, and ultimately all the food just gets donated.
Correct.
All right.
And there's a lot.
That's
like
cool.
there was I forgot what this one was. The group was called like OCJ Stars, and it was Ganesha. It was just kind of like that's hanging around there. There was the Buzz. There's actually two Jack Jacks. There's one that was built by Disneyland and Imagineering, and they had built the giant Jack, and then there's like a couple of Pez dispensers.
Ooh.
I'll put the link to the actual, I think the program is called Construct the World Without Hunger. So that's what the whole thing was about. And when you go and you vote, like each vote equals $1 that they're getting, as part of the fundraiser. And as it stands right now, I think they've raised about $1,700 as we're recording this or something.
That's awesome.
It could be more by now, but the last time I checked, it was around $1,700. But yeah, they tell you when you go over to their community pages and you check out how each of the items was constructed, they'll tell you how many cans of each product was used. If you wanted to recreate it yourself, you have to buy 152 4-ounce cans of Dole Mandarin oranges, and then you have to buy 3,150 4-ounce cans of Winco Dice Green chilies, and 350 2.25-ounce cans of Lindsay, California sliced olives. So, I mean, it's all listed there. We'll list out their shopping list to put together the Jack. It's pretty cool.
I want to make my own.
You think we'll be able to do this one day? You want to
I
design
was
it?
going to suggest something.
Heck yeah. Oh, what do you got, Mel?
Push the trash can. Because he's just a square.
That would be pretty easy.
It would be easy. But
that's the only one I was like,
I would want to challenge ourselves. Like, we need to recreate.
Yeah, like R2D2 would be pretty easy.
Yeah, we should recreate Mission Breakout.
Oh, I was going to say Haunted Mansion, but all right.
Yeah, let's do something with a better facade. I think Mansion or
Space.
Space Mountain would be
Space
fun.
Mountain would be cool. I agree. Even Matterhorn. Or actually Big Thunder, because it looks like all those rocks are kind of stacked up on each other anyway.
Yeah.
That might be a natural fit for something like that. That could be cool.
But do you think people
really cool.
would get the gist of it, or would it just look like a bunch of stacks of cans? Like, when you look at this from far away, it's clearly the character.
Well, we'll just have to be really good, man.
We'll get some pointers from the people that put together the Super Bowl Sunday stacks of soda cans.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those are awesome.
Yep.
I've seen some really creative ones.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Yeah, one day we'll plan something like this. I would love to do a volunteers thing with Team Bo Willie. I know that we do like the walks and stuff, but not everything has to be about donations, right? I think we can go out and do good things for the community like this, where we just donate our time. So if you guys have any suggestions, hit us up over on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and we'll talk about it. We'll take those events into consideration. So send us your thoughts on that. Since we're on the topic of The Incredibles, we're talking about Jack. One of my favorite scenes in The Incredibles 2 just happens to be the scene where Jack and the raccoon are at it, right, when they're fighting. But my second favorite scene is when Jack is kind of mimicking Edna when they go pick him up, and he's just kind of walking around changing. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, most adorable thing ever. And I think a lot of people kept thinking to themselves, I wonder what happened that evening with Edna and Jack Jack. Because, I mean, she was salivating at the idea of just watching Jack Jack when she knew that he had all of these powers. Yep. And you knew that there was something behind it other than just the clout of being the person that made that suit exclusively. So if you were wondering, well, what happened between E and Jack Jack? Don't fret. Because when The Incredibles 2 Blu-ray releases in just about a month and a half from the recording of this episode, we have gotten confirmation from Brad Bird that there will be a special featurette on the Blu-ray that shows us what happened between E and Jack Jack that night.
We'll finally know what happened in those 17 hours.
I know. That better be a long short. A long? It better be a long. It better be its own film. I want to see everything live. I want to taste that foam. It tastes like raspberries.
What's cool about this is that I feel like it's a prime example of them giving the fans exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like that doesn't happen a lot. I feel like a lot of extras on Blu-rays are just filler. You know, a lot of it's the same thing you see for every movie. And there might be some little tidbit in there somewhere that's unique to that movie. And, you know, certainly with Pixar, they usually make advancements on every movie. And so they're going to show you what new technologies they used. And that's great, but it happens every time. It's not every time that they're giving you added story and added content for the movie that you already love. And especially something like this, it's an absolute treat. And I am dying for that release. That's going to be great because I think we all agree that Jack Jack kind of stole the show in that second movie. And we all, you know, fell in love with him. And I hope they do a series of Jack Jack shorts. I really do. I think they need to.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the prime candidate for shorts right now. And I hope that comes. But even if this is all we get, I'm so excited about it. It's such a cool, smart move by Brad Bird and his team of geniuses.
Yeah. Do you think that they saw the popularity and kind of heard the fans after the film was released, or knowing how Brad Bird is about storytelling, that he thought about this way before he even released the film and just knew, I want to show this?
I think it's that. I think on some level, he had already conceived this night that they had together, and it may have even been in the original cut of the film, but it had to get cut for time purposes. You know, you never know.
That's very true.
And yeah, I agree with him and his type of, detail-oriented production. I feel like it's not something they invented after the fact. I think in some way, shape, or form, he had this idea already, and it just played out perfectly because everybody loves the idea. And so, yeah, going into it with that in mind, I mean, I think that's the thing too. I don't think any other, or not many of the other Pixar production teams would have been able to do something like this for the initial DVD release, you know?
Right.
And so, I think he was prepared on some level.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love your idea of them having just a bunch of Jack Jack shorts. You're right, dude.
Endless possibilities.
I know. I would so watch Jack Jack shorts all day versus Mater shorts.
I like the Mater shorts though. I like those a lot.
I do too. But
Mater
if I had to pick, I would just want to watch Jack Jack shorts.
Especially because they end with the exact same joke and hook. Like every time.
True.
That kills me. He's like, don't you remember? You were there.
You were there.
And then all of a sudden McQueen is in it. I love that. It's so good. They're my favorite friend duo of all time.
You're just biased because it's your favorite film.
But we're kind of dovetailing perfectly into something that happened that's really exciting too, because we've talked about meet and greets and characters in the park, and we've talked about Pixar, and you had the opportunity to see an awesome new Pixar character in the park.
There's tons of shows in the park that, I can watch and I just enjoy them. And I remember seeing this particular show last year and just thinking, wow, that was a good show. I appreciate that they did that. The show that I'm speaking of is the musical tribute to Coco. And they did this last year. The exception was that this year they brought the Miguel marionette from Disneyland Paris and incorporated it into the show.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
The marionette
so
itself.
Exciting.
Seriously, if you guys have not seen this, we posted the video on our YouTube channel. The video will be in the blog post for the episode, podketeers.com/221. If you guys want to see it, for more videos like that and vlogs, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon so that you know when we post new videos. But man, the cast member that was running the marionette did such an amazing job. And the marionette is put together in such a way where it is so animated and so lifelike that you almost forget that there's a person standing behind it when you concentrate on Miguel. Okay, you don't even see the person behind him. And the gestures and the movements are so Miguel from the movie that he starts singing. You're listening to this soundtrack in the background and you're listening to him sing. This doesn't happen to me very often. It generally tends to happen to me when I watch certain fireworks shows. But I had to hold back some tears watching this. The thing was that last year, the same show, I just thought, wow, that was cool. I'm glad they did that. But the addition of Miguel just brought so much more magic to that small show that I was fighting back tears watching this. It was amazing. I love it.
It looks incredible, and I can't wait to get the chance to go see it. It's basically going to be here for the whole Halloween season, and so I'm hoping
and
I'll
Christmas.
Oh, and Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I'll definitely get to see it several times then, and I'm so pumped. Now, you've said it a couple times. You've described it as the marionette from Paris. Did they just bring it over, or did they create one for this park?
Well, as far as I know, the one in Paris still exists.
Okay, so it's it's a separate one that they created for us. Okay, got it. It looks amazing in the video, and I can't wait to see that show. And like you said, last year when they just did the musical tribute basically to Coco, I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I watched it several times. And now knowing that they've plussed it by adding Miguel and adding a character in a way that is consistent with the way they look in the film, which is rarely ever achieved. And I think this marionette idea is the way they should proceed for a lot of characters. That it just gets me excited because that's a clever, simple, yet imaginative, magical way to bring that character to life.
If you could add it to any other characters, what would you want to add it to?
I mean, definitely any of the characters that are smaller than your average human. I would like any kid characters for sure. Any definitely Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde because they look ridiculous as giant oversized Bunny and Fox.
Cough, cough. Edna Mode. Cough, cough.
Yeah, Edna, Boo. I mean, there's a lot of little characters that it would be amazing to see. And if you actually put people in costumes, they don't look right, To me, it's very, very rare that these characters look right when you meet them in the park. Very rare. There's only a couple that I'm like, okay, I can see that. That's pretty good. Like, okay, here's the obvious one. Pinocchio. Freaking Pinocchio should be one of these. I mean, come on. That should have been done decades ago. So, I'm just hopeful that this is a successful test, so to speak, and that they incorporate more of this kind of, they're already doing it with Olaf in the Frozen show, and I think
Yeah.
it works beautifully because, again, you forget that there's a person behind him when you see that
Yeah.
show. And it's wonderful. I like when they can do that. It's stage magic, like theater magic is what it is. And it's delightful. And yeah, I could go on and on. It's great. Keep doing it, Disney.
The great thing about doing something like that is that you don't have to rely on electricity or these visual effects or anything like that. Like you said, it's stage magic, right?
Right.
And I almost feel like it's an art that's being lost. Especially with no longer having a constant Muppet show or having puppeteers that are constantly doing this, other than Sesame Street, for instance.
Right.
The art of puppeteering and creating these types of shows, I think it's being lost. And I mean, I may feel like that because I don't see many of these shows and I don't know if a lot of them exist. But if you incorporated more of that into the parks, I think it would just spark so much more creativity into the cast members that are doing it. And I mean, stuff like that makes new engineers in the world, right? Like when you have kids playing with Legos, playing with Kinects, you don't understand that they're not just playing. They're becoming an engineer while they are building this.
Right.
And that's how their mind grows. That's where they learn what they like to do. And the art of puppeteering is the same. Like knowing what to move it, when to blink, when to turn their hands, when to turn their head. It looks easy, but being a puppeteer is immensely difficult.
Sure. I mean, it's like 2 or 3 levels above air guitar.
Yes. I rule at air guitar.
I bet you do.
Yeah, there was an exhibit recently at the Skirball Center for the Muppets.
Oh, I know. I wanted to go see that.
I regretted not having a chance to go see that because I
Yeah.
think by the time that this episode is out, the exhibit will have been over for a few days already. And man, I saw some people posting, you could become a puppeteer. Like they had a TV screen, they had the Muppets there that you could follow some kind of
Really?
script with, and it was amazing. Like the experience that I saw in people's videos and Instagram stories and pictures, I really hope that it comes back because I think it was one of those
Wow.
experiences that you just grow from and you just never forget.
Nice.
So if you guys had a chance to go to that and you posted something, tag us and we'll repost it because I just love seeing that stuff.
Word. Okay, real quick. Who's your favorite Muppet? Go.
Animal.
Nice.
Are we talking Sesame Street too, or just Muppets?
Just Muppets.
Beaker.
Oh, nice. That's adorable.
Yeah.
I like Ralph. He's my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Now, I will say I have said that Miss Piggy is my number 1, but action-wise, Animal.
Animal's great.
Animal's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Every time I think of Animal, I think of that Muppet Babies episode where he's like, makeup! Just had that big poof.
Oh, man.
Animal basically does all the things we all want to do every day.
Yes. Yes, he does. All right, guys. So earlier we were talking about Nightmare Before Christmas at the Hollywood Bowl, and it got us thinking about the Haunted Mansion and the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay that happens. And, if you guys have been listening to the podcast for some time, I have my beefs with it. And my primary beef is just the fact that it happens before Halloween. And I've heard everybody's discussion on this, and I understand. Okay, like I think we talked about this just in a podcast or two ago.
Yep.
And you guys brought up great points. The idea that they have to take down the mansion for a couple of weeks to do the overlay. By the time it's done, you won't have enough time for Christmas. I get all of that. It is a time restraint. Okay, cool. But we're also getting to a point where the overlay has been going on for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you've seen it over and over, and I'm speaking as a spoiled annual pass holder now, I'm putting that hat on, okay? It gets a little tired. Every year we get a chance to see the overlay, and primarily what changes is the gingerbread house. A couple of years ago, they finally added Sally, which was, I think, a much-needed addition. But during our production meeting, we had this idea of kind of reconstructing the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay and maybe changing up a couple of scenes and talking about what we would want to see. And I'm excited about this talk because two huge fans of Nightmare Before Christmas are with me right now. And so I'm kind of giddy at hearing what Gavin and Melissa are going to say about this. So, Melissa, let's kick it off with your ideas here. What would you want to change in the mansion, or what scenes would you add? Go.
Okay. Let's see. I wrote this all in my notes because I knew I wasn't going to remember everything, but I'm going to try to do this walkthrough. All right. Loading scene, keep it the way it is. But what I would change, this is the first change, is right before the endless hallway. You have your gifts, which is a nice addition. But I think the mayor needs a little bit more love.
Word.
And I think it would be nice to see him being a greeter as an animatronic, kind of like telling us welcome or something. Because, he was like that. He's always jolly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one change. Keep going. And I would say in the seance room, have Lock, Shock, and Barrel behind of Leota with that bag as if they're trying to find Santa Claus. And you know how they confused the Easter Bunny?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Have them behind the chair. That not a sudden movement, but kind of like showing. But because she's moving, have them kind of move in that way so it balances it out.
I like that.
Yeah.
Next is the ballroom. I love everything that goes on with the ballroom. And Gavin and I, we were talking about this. The band, sad that it's a cutout. Put them next to the organ.
Yes.
So they're part of the they're part of the band. Now, the attic, I would love to see this type of technology. I don't think it happens yet, but it was kind of like E.T. had, where they were able to put your name as you were leaving, saying bye. Now, what if we had this technology onto the naughty or nice list that the snake has, and somehow, I want to say either FastPass app or something, have your name displayed as you're passing by.
Yes.
I've been thinking about this.
It would have to be using that Bluetooth that the Play app is using.
Yes.
So you'd have to be logged in, and that'd be part of the game you play.
Perfect.
Did you see your name on the list? And
Or
you had
if your name
phone
is displayed, you get the badge.
Right. That's what will be the achievement.
Ah, yes. And that's really simple to achieve, too. You can mount like a little Bluetooth mechanism into the Doom Buggy with like a repeater, and it just kind of shoots that signal out at the list.
Yeah.
And it just picks one of them at random. Ah, I love that idea.
I think it'd be great. So, passing Hattie, he's good. Don't change him. But in the graveyard scene, I would love to see the mummy boy, or these are the kids. For those who are not familiar with the character names, these are the kids that you see on Nightmare Before Christmas. So you have the little mummy boy, you have the winged demon, and you have corpse boy. And I would like to see them kind of like Sally, where they're playing in the graveyard.
Ah, yeah.
Just to give it like, oh, okay, yeah, you remember they're the kids that are often playing around and stuff. And the only other thing I have a request is the evil toy duck needs a little bit more love because you have Vampire Teddy, but it's like they come together type of thing.
That's funny.
You don't see the duck anywhere?
Just once in the attic.
But you see the vampire character more than once?
Yeah, he's in the seance room.
Oh.
In the graveyard between Hattie and the graveyard when you're going down.
Yeah.
And I believe before the hallway where the coffin is.
Yeah.
He's right there too.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a lot of places.
It's a lot of love,
Yeah.
man.
I guess so.
Interesting.
I guess so.
Oh man, that list idea, I love that, Melissa. So good. Would you
Yeah,
do anything with the mirrors at the end?
Yes, bring the technology that Walt Disney World has. That's the
Will they
most
switch your
amazing
head?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. I think in general, just to bring that tech over would be awesome.
Right.
I forget what they do there. Describe to me what's different.
So you're going through and your head, like you're looking at yourself, but your head just disappears.
What?
Or they roll over, or it's some animation, and it's really cool and interactive. So
Huh.
you see this through the three mirrors or the three windows, and it's really cool because it happens in all three.
Wow. That is cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
that's really good. I like that. Sweet. Well, those are awesome ideas, Melissa. I like that.
Thanks.
All right, Gavin.
Okay. This is very difficult for me. I think I've said it on the show before, but I'm going to say it again so everybody knows exactly where I stand. I believe firmly that Nightmare Before Christmas deserves its own attraction permanently at Disneyland. I want that more than anything. But what we have is the overlay. And so herein lies my problem. It's like most of the things I want to do would be much more of a permanent nature. Or it'd be such an extensive overlay that it wouldn't be practical for them to install.
They would have to do it in July, basically.
Yeah, they really would. It'd have to be half the year and whatever. But some basic things that I would love to change or add is I wish more of the actual music from that wonderful soundtrack was incorporated into the ride. You know, it's just kind of inspired by, you know, a little bit. And that's as close as we get. But if we could actually hear, you know, some of Jack's lament and some of Oogie Boogie's song and, you know, some of Sally's song as we go through, just, you know, little themes, you know, it doesn't have to be them singing them. But, you know, I mean, on all the other attractions that are based on a property, we get to experience parts of the soundtrack as well. And that's such a visceral part of how we, you know, experience these movies every time we watch them, that when we ride through them, it kind of feels like something's missing when that's not there. So that would be an easy thing, like incorporate more of the music. I say easy. I'm sure a thousand lawyers would have to be called in to figure out the licensing, whatever.
Right.
The other thing that I wish is that less of the mansion characters were there, you know, like, and I know I'm going to get some flack from you guys, but even Hattie, like, to me, he's not anything to do with Nightmare. And it, to me, that kind of throws it off in that moment. Like, I love Hattie as much as anybody, but in this version of the ride, it's like, he doesn't make any really sense because he doesn't look like that style of character. And I don't know. I would take him out. You mentioned the ballroom scene. It really bugs me that we see those same like Victorian era ghosts in there, especially the two portraits. It's like, it seems like that could be something that could be changed out for Nightmare Before Christmas characters. I just wish that some of those weren't there. You know, like they take out the bride and they take out the grave digger and, you know, replace those with Nightmare Before Christmas things. I just wish they would do that with more of the characters. But here we meet with what I really want to do. If we can't have our own attraction, I really want more set pieces and scenes that make us feel like we're actually stepping into this movie in a lot more of a realistic sense. So I would love it if the front yard of the mansion was transformed into the forest and we enter that circle of trees with the holidays. And like, as we, you know, get closer, the one big tree just has a huge open door in it, and that's the Halloween door, right? And we walk through that and then to the rest of the queue, right? So like, it kind of sets the mood, like, oh, we've entered Halloween Town. And, you know, they've gone mad with Christmas frenzy and they're all creating Christmas stuff to go then give it to Christmas Town. And, you know, I would love to see more, like you mentioned, the kids. I would love to see them like peering down into that well like they do in the very first scene in the movie when, you know, Jack's about to spring up from it, you know. And just seeing that well in the little town square, or actually seeing Jack and Sally on top of Spiral Hill, things like that are iconic moments, or scenes or visuals from the film. I would love to see incorporated, into that experience more. I feel like it's so weird. There's this competing idea that, okay, it's like the movie because in the movie they take over Christmas. But they don't go anywhere to take over Christmas. They do it all from Halloween Town, and then he just flies out and, acts like Santa Claus, for a night, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like they've kind of moved into this place where they don't belong. But to me, the Haunted Mansion would, if it was anywhere, it would be in Halloween Town because it's a haunted mansion. And so it shouldn't feel as much of an invasion as it does. And I feel like incorporating more elements of the Nightmare Before Christmas film into it would make it seem more natural. Because to me, it's so strange to me. I've seen it, for many years. Not as many years as you guys have seen it. I think the first time I saw it was 2012. But it's still just so strange to me. I don't understand really what the madness is. Why do we have to do this to this perfect attraction with this perfect other property and kind of do this weird mashup where they don't seamlessly meld together? That's why I want its own attraction. But anyway, those are my thoughts, and I don't know that we'll ever see any of that happen because, like you said, Hazen, they've done very little to plus the overlay in the almost 20 years since it's been in place. Yeah, we'll see. I still am hoping for more Nightmare in the parks because it's got such an ever-growing, passionate, never-fading cult following.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, it's funny that there's so many things that you said in how you would overhaul the mansion that I am 110% with you on. Okay, not just 100%, not just 90, 110% with you on.
Solidarity, brother.
Yeah. Even with Hattie?
One of the here, I'll get to that.
Okay.
One of the biggest things that I have to agree with you on is the music. It does not have enough music, and that soundtrack is just so good, and it speaks so well to that film that it needs more of that to really, maybe if there was just more music, that would be enough to make it seem more cohesive. Mm-hmm. But there is a disconnect. I like the overlay, but overall, it doesn't feel like it belongs. And that's why I don't feel it even belongs before Halloween. That's my biggest beef with it. The whole idea of bringing the forest. Originally, I wanted that in the mansion. Mm-hmm. But it's funny that you said bring it outside because my idea was instead of having the door of the gates to the mansion, make that the Halloween tree that you walk through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where I would put the main Halloween tree. Okay. And then outside in New Orleans Square, just put the plaques on the different trees of each holiday to make it look like the trees that are already existing in New Orleans Square are part of this experience that you're about to walk into.
That could be interesting.
I like that.
Or, you know what? Wait, I'm sorry. I'm going to jump in with an idea real quick. What if they transform the stretching rooms to be like a circle of trees? And it stretches.
That would be great.
And then somehow the doors appear as it stretches up, and the one that opens is the Halloween tree.
Oh, that would be amazing. I love that idea. Because then you're walking straight into it. Dude, yes. Yes, infinitely yes. Okay, so in that main hallway, I would probably want to change the portraits up a little bit, just primarily because we've seen them already. Mm-hmm. And then the very first window has the band playing. But you don't really see the band unless you really concentrate on it or you see the lightning flash.
Yeah.
So I would incorporate other characters from Nightmare Before Christmas into the other windows where they're like knocking on the glass saying like, hey, let me in, I want to go too, or where's Jack? And this is where I think the storytelling begins, where if you have those characters starting off by saying, hey, have you seen Jack? Where's Jack? Where's Jack? And they're all asking, where is Jack?
So it's like pirates.
Kind of. But by the time that you get to the loading area, I would get rid of that entire Mod Podge of characters that they have, because that just looks like they plastered a bunch of boxes with random characters all over it. I would turn that into the town square from the film. And I would put the fountain there,
cool.
and I would have the mayor coming out in his car with like a little bullhorn, just even if it's a cutout. Okay, it doesn't have to be full-blown animatronic, just to save some money. I'm thinking about the money situation, Galaxy's Edge, money hog. I would have the mayor in his car just driving back and forth saying, have you seen Jack? We can't find Jack. It's 365 days till Halloween again. Where's Jack? And so the entire story is now based on you. Yeah, 364. And the entire story is now, where is Jack? Because that's one of the biggest problems I have with this. There is no story. There's just a bunch of characters all over the mansion.
Right.
And I guess the main story is that they've invaded the mansion for this overlay, but it doesn't work. Okay, so now we've established that we're searching for Jack, right? We're in Halloween Town. We've already had that established. As you're driving by, you see Lock, Shock, and Barrel, like you see them now, and with those presents right before you hit the infinite hallway. You see that. You see Zero. I like that area. I wouldn't really change that. I like that part of it. However, as you're turning on the right-hand side and you see the coffin with the hand coming up, I would put Dr. Finkelstein there. Ooh. And I would put him there doing some kind of experiment, or maybe stitching Sally together. And that's the first thing that we see. I totally forgot about
Finkelstein. He's nowhere in there, is he?
Nope.
He's one of the cutouts at the
in the
loading area.
Those don't count.
No, they don't count. But that's what I'm saying. At least there, you get an idea of what's happening. And because all you're seeing is Dr. Finkelstein, maybe he's humming Sally's song, and it's just kind of like this off thing that's happening where you kind of recognize it, but it's not something that he would do, so you're kind of like, oh, that sounds familiar, right? So now you're going through the hallway, you're hearing all the doors, you're hearing characters, where's Jack? Where's Jack? Knock, knock, knock. Is Jack, are you behind that door? And then you see the man eating wreath. You see the clock. And here's one of the biggest changes I would implement. I would get rid of Leota. I would put Oogie there on the roulette wheel and have the Sandy Claus right in the middle, like in that scene where he's walking around the roulette wheel and he's singing Oogie Boogie song. What better place that's round than to have a roulette wheel and hearing the Oogie Boogie song?
Genius. Do it.
So now we go around. You can still have all the other stuff floating, but Leota does not need to be there for this. So now you hit the ballroom scene, and I like the ideas that you guys had about having the band there where it seems more like Halloween Town is having a party. But, maybe where the carriage broke through the window, in the background you see some elements of Halloween Town, but they just busted into this room. That way you don't have to change too many things, but you get the elements of Halloween Town. Maybe have Shock, Lock, and Barrel hanging from the chandeliers, and it's just rocking back and forth.
That would be awesome.
Then, as far as the projections that they use for the two gunmen on the portraits, just cover it in a black tarp and project something else on it. It doesn't have to be big. Just project something else on there.
Right.
In the attic, I would start off with a small TV as you're entering the attic, maybe on the right-hand side, and it's the news report that you hear from the film. Somebody has commandeered Christmas. We don't know where Santa Claus is. And you kind of just hear the chatter from the news report that Sally's listening to in the film. That's like, oh my God, where's Jack? What is he doing? Right? So then as you're approaching, you kind of see all these gifts. You see the Santa Claus list. That the attic scene, I think, is okay the way that it is. I think it's changed enough that I'm okay with that scene. And this, I think, is one of the most controversial things because I'm such a huge fan of the Hatbox Ghost. Hattie has to go.
Yes!
Because I agree with you. I agree with you. He's so out of place. The only way that I would accept the Hatbox Ghost still there, if it was up to me, to update this attraction, is I would want Shock, Lock, and Barrel with a Hatbox just kind of like floating with his head, like laughing at the head inside of the Hatbox Ghost.
Or
right?
What if they just changed the face to Tim Burton's face?
Yeah, they wouldn't do that.
He's pretty ghoulish.
Yeah, he is, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't do that.
That'd be great.
The other thing that the only other thing that I would do is just to eliminate the Hatbox Ghost altogether, just to keep it cohesive, is I would have, and it would be a little out of place, so maybe the placement wouldn't be great, but I would have the sack with the Sandy Claus and have them singing "Kidnap the Sandy Claus." Mm-hmm. Just to kind of bring it all together. Then I wouldn't have Jack where the caretaker is. I wouldn't even have Jack in the graveyard at all. I would actually have Sally on the tombstone, not leaning over, but just in a motion like, "Jack, where are you? Jack, where are you?" And as you go around and you see the pumpkin singing, you look up and you see like a tiny Sally on top of Spiral Hill. Okay, so I know it's iconic to have Jack and Sally on top of Spiral Hill, but I mean, to have Sally, and you hear Sally's lament like in the background, or Sally's song, I think that would be great. And so as you are approaching the end of the attraction, you see more characters in the graveyard, and where Oogie is now, that's where I would put Jack, because that is where you would have the final reveal of saying, "Hey, you found me. Don't worry, we're going to restore Halloween Town. Happy holidays, everyone." And that's where you have like your moment with Jack, because you finally found him. The entire attraction was finding Jack, and now you found him.
I like it. Is he in his Sandy Claus outfit there?
Yes.
I like it. That's really good. I like how you your big ad really is that you made it a story. And that's so key to, Disney attractions. And you're right, that's another element that's totally missing currently.
Yeah.
I like what you said about Sally. Can we have her, now that I'm thinking about it too, sitting on the tombstone with the rose in her hand?
Oh,
so it's an homage.
Yes.
Oh yeah, to the portrait.
Oh yeah, to the
Yeah.
Oh, see, double whammy. That's genius.
That's awesome.
Yes. I love it.
I mean, we could even do that around the attraction, where in the graveyard you have like a TNT barrel and three other characters from the film. Mm-hmm. Like you could find ways to do that.
Yeah.
So there would be, but that Halloween tree stretching in the elevator. That's so good
epic.
too, man.
That is really epic.
Man, if only we had the ability to make those changes happen.
I know.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up on. What do you guys think?
I think so.
All right. Well, if you guys have any ideas of how you would plus up the Haunted Mansion during the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay, leave us a comment, join the conversation over on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. We'd love to hear your ideas of how you would change it up. And, I mean, if you don't like any of our ideas, let us know why. If you like the way that it is, or you don't even like the overlay at all, and you would just prefer that it's Haunted Mansion year-round, also a valid opinion. Leave that as well. Before we wrap up, a couple of things we want to let you know about. One, Gavin, you want to talk a little bit about your D23 box that you received?
Absolutely. So we mentioned it earlier in the podcast or on a previous show that we were going to be getting this Mickey Mouse birthday party kit from D23. It did arrive, and all three of us went to Disneyland, and we filmed an unboxing of all of the contents of this party box just for you guys. So you can check it out on our YouTube channel, or you can check it out in the blog post at podketeers.com/221. And we are planning to actually throw a party with all of this magical party supplies. And so you'll want to make sure that you're subscribed and following us on Instagram for details to come.
Yeah. Woo. Oh, boy. It's going to be fun.
It is.
So yeah, if you guys go to the YouTube channel, make sure to, how they say, smash that subscribe button, ring that bell notifications icon for updates on when we put up new videos. I know it's overkill, but you know, that's what they say on YouTube. So I gotta say what they say on YouTube.
Yeah, please don't crack your phone screen. Just
just
tap on it.
That would be good.
It's touch.
A simple tap will suffice, but you know, smash that subscribe button, 2018 style. If you guys want to help us out, a great way to do that is by becoming a part of the FGP Squad. What is the FGP Squad? Well, we like to call those people our podcast Fairy Godparents, and they like to help us out with a monthly contribution via Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you could become part of the FGP Squad as well, but for a minimum contribution of at least $5, you will also get the exclusive Fairy Godparent button. And I will say so myself, I like the design. And it's not just because I designed it. Okay, well, it's because I designed it. I'm just going to throw it out there. I really like it because I designed it. But it just looks really cool. And if you guys haven't seen it, head over to podketeers.com/221. You'll see the icon there. Or you can head over to podketeers.com/FGP for more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad. To all of our current Fairy Godparents, thank you guys for your support, because if it wasn't for them, this episode of Podketeers and many others would not be possible. So thank you guys. If you guys want to help us out in a slightly different manner, you can do so by heading over where, Gavin?
Podketeers.com/Amazon.
And what will they find there, Melissa?
A huge, huge button.
Why is it so big?
Because it's hilarious.
That's right. There is no other rhyme or reason for it except for the fact that we thought it was just super hilarious to have a really big button. And does it do the same thing as a regular size button? Pfft, you're darn tootin' it does. But we just thought it would be funnier to have a bigger button. So if you want to see how big that button is, it might not look big on your phone because, you know, it's resizes and everything. Go see it on a big, like, TV, or see it on a widescreen monitor. It just takes up your whole screen. And then when you click on it, you'll go over to Amazon using our special link, and anything that you purchase on that next trip may earn us a small commission from Amazon as a thank you for mentioning them on this podcast. And if you ever meet Amazon on the street and you're like, hey, Mr. Amazon, how are you? And Amazon's like, hey, did you use that Podketeers link? You could be like, yes, I did. And Amazon will ask you, did you use the huge button on the Podketeers Amazon page? And you'd be like, I sure did, because I thought it was funny. And I did it, and then I bought something. By the way, thanks for Prime. I like it. That's probably a conversation that will never happen because, you know, Amazon's not a person.
Never say never.
He might be like Mr. Monopoly, right? Mr. Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. Maybe we'll make that happen. Jeff Bezos, if you're listening, make it happen, Mr. Amazon. That's where that smile comes from. If you guys want to follow any of our social links or any of our personal accounts, head on over to podketeers.com/team. There you will find all of our social links, who our favorite Disney characters are. If we happen to match up, leave us a comment in the blog post for the episode or on social media. We'd love to know if we match up. I'll give you a hint. Mine is Wally. Shh. Don't tell anyone.
That is so convincing.
Hilarious.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Anything else?
Nope. Just
All
can't wait to get back to the park and have more Halloween fun.
Word. So, on that note, here is to Beers, Cheers, and Mickey Ears. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
Nice work, Bone Daddy.
That was awesome.
Dude, that was good. I like it.